Thanks for tuning in. This channel want to touch various topics in a random manner, but are about things that are considered hack and way of simplifying my life. One of that is mind map. Now, as everybody, I went through a continuous polishing of the methodology that I'm using and the way and the tools. And in the meantime, we got AI, we got a lot of things helping us on creating summary and make our life a bit easy. There are software in AI like napkins.ai that it's really cool and give you capabilities in really as in few seconds to give you graphical context, a sort of infographic. You can really play with that, and they have really cool templates. But what everybody, I'm sure, experienced was to start from a task, trying to create this to-do list of items and find those unmanageable because they get postponed and in somehow the to-do list evolve. They started to get more focus on prioritization, giving label, trying to link to a calendar, notification through the calendar. Right now, for example, Google Calendar let you to use the task straight into the calendar. So there are a lot of enhancement day by day on what are the tools, but none fix the issue that I had like mind mapping. So here in front of you, you have draw.io that I generally use for diagrams and other stuff. But for mind mapping, I really suggest an application that is called Xmind. That Xmind is having a mobile app and you can create the file only on the local storage. And it's really cool because you can use their template for mind mapping. You'll have tons of resources on internet explaining how a mind map works, but I want to go through how I use the mind map because you'll find your own way of doing, and it's really important. So if you remember the flow diagram, each symbol was having a meaning. For example, you take this one is the decision. I generally assign to the topic the circle. So let's say that you need to move from country A to country B. You are an expert and you have tons of tasks to be done and certain need decision, okay? For example, you need to open a bank account, but you need also to probably exchange money. So you are having the subtopic bank that is obviously correlated to the country because okay, you can have Revolut or whatever you fancy, but in any case multi-currency banks are common, but it's not always the case. So you have the bank of A, you need to close the bank account, you need to exchange the money, you need to move it. So you'll have the same topic of a bank on the other side with an easy relationship between the country and the bank. And you'll need, for example, to be capable to move across and do a normal bank transfer, for example, let's say like that. But you need to define that between the two, you need also to do a currency exchange. And sometimes you need to wait to do the currency exchange because you want the right rate for the transfer. Like that, you'll have tons of topic. You have probably a car, You need to sell the car in one country. Do you import the car? You don't care about the car, whatever it is, it's right. But what I'm trying to say is that you'll have a list of assets that you need to remove. You'll have a list of decision. For example, you want to import. You'll have the import pattern. That means every document on both country. For example, the export certificate and whatever else. So like that, you see that you do have the granularity to give you the big picture of all tasks that you need to do, but it's not just a to-do list, because for example you need to move the money between the banks, but you need to do the currency exchange. You understand how it's not so straightforward to do it with task. So somebody can approach to this kind of problem with project management kind of mentality. For example, think about a Gantt template or some project management templates. But you see that you'll fail also on that, because you'll have to simplify all this project management. You have some sort of task management or sprint, and you'll find that some items overlap or is complicated. I use the example of expat transfer across country because it's something that everybody can easily relate or can understand it. But in a project, sometimes you'll have project management, you'll have also this one as a decision making map. And this one is really cool because if you start to use versioning, for example, in a complicated project, I found that doing the versioning with the decision and the strategy changes that was happening during the meeting was giving me a support to have a graphical, visual capabilities to spot the difference and what it was changing when. Because, for example, in Xmind you have versioning, and you can use a year, for example, as well, and you can correlate to the versioning also the meeting note. For example, you take all these AI meeting notes. Yes, are nice. You can transform it in a mind map, but good luck to get a proper one, because most of the time the graphical component, for example in ChatGPT, doesn't have all tool for mapping. So you'll find that some rules that you put onto this one, it's really cool. I even use it with teams when I was working with teams that were not English native speaker. It can really help to have a visual support into what is the input and the output, for example, of a meeting. You can simplify it, put it as you want. I do value that everybody is having different way of thinking, logic, but if you are driven by logic, you'll find that this method can be really tailored ad hoc on your way of being and your way of thinking. And I always thought that if you teach somebody how to think in terms of how to use these tools and adapt it to their thinking, they can create the tool how they want. I mentioned napkins as an application for AI graphics and templates. You can combine them all together. So this one is what saved me also in prioritization on trying to keep track of everything, especially in complex projects. This one doesn't want to remove any value in project management, agile methodology, or whatever you have. It's just an extra step to give you something that makes sense for your own brain. And versioning is powerful, so don't forget that. Xmind is what I suggest. There is a lot of open source. You find even university course talking about mind map. But in 25 years of career, I can tell you that is the simplest tool that I adopted to almost everything. And when you have multiple teams to manage, having a mind map also about the capabilities of a team is really valuable because especially if your organization is new, is complex as organigram, you can also take the org chart and add a mind map on a similar structure. You have a really infinite potential, but I think we are demanding too much to tools. That's the reason why I suggest you some tools because it can be useful. Uh, but it's more the thinking what you assign to the symbol, for example. And let's get logic back in place because sometimes we are really driven by tools. You work in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, you get everything around it. You see how sometimes some tools also within the Teams ecosystem is not integrated, and some techniques like this one can be the trade union, the link between these. I hope you find it useful and like and share if it's of any usage for you. Okay, take care, cheers, bye bye.